Hey guys, I've gotten a lot of requests on how to make a white bread with all-purpose flour or any bread in general. So I have a great recipe for a white sandwich bread that I'm going to show you guys how to make today. All right, we're going to start with our yeast. So this is instant yeast. You guys can buy it in a pack. You can buy it loose. I like to buy it loose instead of buying it in the pack. That way I always have more when I need it. Each pack of yeast is 2 1/4 teaspoon. So we're gonna measure out 2 1/4 teaspoon of our yeast and we're gonna put it in our bowl. We're gonna be using the KitchenAid today. Here is my 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. Next, we're gonna add about 1/3 cup of warm water. You don't want this to be hot water, otherwise you will kill the yeast. So keep it warm. Between 110 and 115 degrees is fine. Pour that in. We're going to give that a quick mix and we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes so it activates. As this sits, I'm going to get the rest of my ingredients. After 5 minutes have passed, you're going to start to add your other ingredients. 1 1/3 cup of warm water, just like you did before. 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. 1 1/2 teaspoons of butter that you cut in cubes at room temperature. And we're going to start with some of the flour. So altogether you need about 4 to 5 cups of flour. In this bowl here I have 5 cups. So I'm going to add half of this. Leave the extra flour on the side and we're going to start to mix. I have my paddle attachment on my KitchenAid. If you have a dough hook, you could also use that. And we're going to mix it on low until it comes off the sides of the bowl. For my dough, I measured out 5 cups of flour and I had about this much left over. So all you're gonna need is about 4 1/4 cup of flour, maybe a little bit for dusting, but definitely not the 5 cups. So here is my dough. Came out pretty good. It is a little tacky, but it's not sticky. All right, so I mixed it for 5 minutes about in my KitchenAid bowl, and it came off the sides of the bowl, and that's what you want. You want it to be clean and keep mixing and all come together as one. So now we're gonna let this rise. I'm going to put it in a medium-sized bowl. We're gonna spray it with cooking spray. Put the dough in there. We're gonna spray the top. And then we're gonna place plastic wrap directly on the top of that. I just put it directly on the dough. All right, so cover it, let it sit for about 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll see what happens. Here's our dough after an hour. It's got a little rise. So right now we are going to press it down into a 12 by 9 inch rectangle and roll it up, put it in our loaf pan to let it rise again. I'm gonna save my plastic wrap because I'm gonna have to put plastic wrap on the top of this. Put that on the side. Lightly flour our surface. Here is our beautiful dough. Make sure it's floured. You're lightly going to flour the top as well. And now we're going to press into a big rectangle. Now we're going to roll it up into a jelly roll. So take the ends and just push and pull. We're going to pinch our ends, grease our pan, place our dough in there. Just like that. We're gonna take our plastic wrap, place it right on the top, and we're gonna let this rise again for about 45 minutes. Here's my loaf, doubled in size. It looks beautiful. Awesome. I'm preheating my oven to 400 degrees, and I'm gonna take a tablespoon and a half of butter, melt it on the stove, and then we're gonna brush it with that butter before we put it in the oven, all right? Now that my butter is all melted, I'm gonna brush it all over the top of my loaf. If you have any of the butter that kind of slid down the side of your pan here, just wipe it off with a paper towel before you put it in the oven. Rotate the pan halfway through baking. After 30 minutes, we're going to take our loaf out of the oven and then brush it with 1.5 tablespoons of melted butter. After about 15 minutes, dump it onto a cooling rack. That way it can cool completely before slicing it. I wrap the bread in plastic wrap overnight and use it the next day. Thanks for watching. Enjoy, guys.